If you carry type O positive blood, you are holding on to something far more profound than a simple biological classification. You are holding a genetic passport stamped by ancient wanderers, carrying a record far older than any written language, any fallen empire, or any border ever drawn on a map. For generations, we walked this earth completely unaware that our very cellular structure was quietly chronicling the epic, untold journey of human survival across prehistoric landscapes and forgotten continents. For the longest time, modern clinical medicine treated your specific blood type as nothing more than a minor administrative detail, just a routine letter and a plus sign printed on a medical chart to ensure hospital transfusions went smoothly without complications. But the moment modern researchers finally gained the advanced molecular technology to read the deep, encrypted DNA hidden inside that single letter, the entire historical narrative turned completely upside down. What recent genetic tracking has revealed about type O positive carriers is fundamentally rewriting our understanding of who our true ancestors were and how they passed down their blueprints. To truly understand how your blood remembers a past that your family tree completely forgot, we have to look back over a century to a massive mistake made by the scientific world in 1901. The year was 1901, and a brilliant Austrian researcher named Karl Landsteiner was staring intensely through a microscope, trying to solve a terrifying medical mystery that had plagued early transfusion attempts. He discovered human blood groups A, B, AB, and O, a Nobel Prize-winning breakthrough. But almost immediately, Western biologists made a massive, arrogant assumption based on their immediate surroundings. Looking around at the populations of Europe and seeing that type A was everywhere, they hastily decided that type A must be the original, default human blood type from the very beginning. To them, type A seemed like the ancestral norm, while type O was incorrectly dismissed as a strange, later mutation. But that foundational scientific assumption was completely backward. Decades later, when geneticists finally cracked open the human genome, they didn't just look at the blood itself, they analyzed the underlying blueprint sitting quietly on chromosome 9. When they tested indigenous populations of the Americas, people whose ancestors had been isolated for tens of thousands of years, type O reached levels that completely defied all prior expectations. In some native tribes, nearly 100% of the people carried type O blood. Every single piece of modern evidence proves the ancestors of Native Americans walked out of Asia across ancient land bridges. Today, Asia still holds an absolutely massive reservoir of type O genetics, serving as the ultimate source code when scientists track modern genetic markers backward through time. This raises a compelling evolutionary question. Why did this specific blood type born out of ancient Asia survive, spread, and dominate so successfully across the entire globe? The answer has nothing to do with freezing cold or wild predators. It has everything to do with an invisible war fought against history's most ruthless hunters, microscopic plagues and parasites. For hundreds of thousands of years, malaria has hunted humanity relentlessly. When the malaria parasite enters the human body, it targets and infects standard red blood cells destructively. But type O cells are biologically different. They do not possess the extramolecular structures and surface antigens that parasites use as anchor points to attach themselves. Clinical researchers have observed that when malaria encounters type O blood, the cells refuse to clump together. The deadly cellular traffic jam never happens inside your blood vessels. This means a person carrying type O blood possesses a drastically higher statistical chance of surviving a severe malaria infection and living to pass down their traits. If you think that is an incredible evolutionary advantage, consider the winter vomiting bug, norovirus, a highly contagious stomach pathogen that sweeps through communities with brutal speed. Certain aggressive strains of this stomach virus need to physically latch onto the specific molecular structures found exclusively on type A and type B blood cells to infect the body. Because type O blood is completely missing those exact molecular locks, the invading virus simply cannot pick the lock to enter your digestive tract cells. During massive community outbreaks, researchers have documented type O carriers walking straight through severe contamination zones totally exposed, yet never getting sick. Across thousands of years of human history, Possessing an invisible shield against both malaria and stomach viruses wasn't just a matter of luck, it was a true biological superpower. Yet, nature is the ultimate accountant, and it never hands you a powerful evolutionary gift without presenting a hidden biological bill in return. The very same smooth, simplified cellular structure that allows type O carriers to slip past malaria leaves the front door wide open for other distinct medical nightmares. Take cholera, for instance. In historic epidemic regions, the deadly cholera toxin actually binds much more easily to the mucosal cells of type O individuals. When a cholera epidemic strikes, people with type O blood can suffer more severe life-threatening dehydration, perfectly explaining why type O is less common in certain historical regions. Furthermore, if you carry type O blood, you face a higher lifetime statistical risk of developing stomach ulcers due to a corkscrew-shaped bacterium called Helicobacter pylori. And if you want a lighter, more annoying daily trade-off, controlled laboratory studies prove that mosquitoes aggressively land on and bite type O carriers nearly twice as often. Your unique blood chemistry literally broadcasts chemical signals into the air, signaling to nearby mosquitoes that you are their absolute preferred meal of the evening. The epic story of this blood type does not stop in Asia or the Americas. Around 5,000 years ago, brilliant seafarers from Taiwan looked out at the Pacific and conquered it. They built outrigger canoes and began a slow, deliberate expansion across the largest body of water on Earth, discovering Hawaii, New Zealand, and Easter Island. Modern DNA tests prove these Polynesian voyagers carried the exact same ancient Asian blood signature, linking two isolated populations separated by an impossibly vast ocean. Today, modern medicine is still uncovering everyday perks. Type O positive carriers have naturally slightly thinner blood with lower levels of certain specific clotting proteins. This physiological trait gives you a notably lower risk of suffering from dangerous deep vein blood clots or sudden cardiovascular blockages compared to other blood groups. The next time you look at a medical chart and see O positive, realize you are looking at a genuine survival medal forged tens of thousands of years ago in ancient environments. Your ancestors stood face to face with brutal plagues and harsh climates, and their bodies adapted. You are the living victory of their endurance, carrying history's oldest book in your veins.